Throughout the last few years, we've heard countless amounts of rumors for Nintendo's next home console from industry insiders, and have seen multiple leaks from overseas factories and even the black market. But one fact remained the same. The next generation of Nintendo was on the horizon, and on January 16th, we were shown officially, for the first time, the Nintendo Switch 2. From the little bit of footage we were shown, this was pretty much what I wanted for a new Nintendo system. I love my Switch so much, and to have them abandon this hybrid console concept now would be such a bad move in my personal opinion. And to see that they were just making a bigger Switch that improved on the negatives of the original was great. The magnetic attachments for the Joy-Cons, the bigger and wider SL and SR buttons, bigger face buttons and joysticks, and the vastly improved kickstand were just a fraction of what I believe Nintendo will be showing off in the coming months with the Nintendo Switch 2. And can we talk about the name really quick? I've seen a number of people already claiming that this name is just as bad as the Wii U, and quite honestly, I'm not sure at what they're getting at. I think that having any sort of acronym for the Switch 2 would have been just as much of a death sentence as the name Wii U was. If the console was named like the Switch Snap, or the Switch Pro, or the Switch Attach, then I truly believe that the console would not even reach a quarter of sales of the original Switch. Let's look at this from Nintendo's perspective. They are coming off the success of one of their best-selling consoles of all time, after coming off the sales of one of their worst-selling consoles of all time. I think that Nintendo would be very careful with what they call the next-gen Nintendo console because they don't want another Wii U situation again. And I believe going with the numerical naming scheme was the best way to go. It's not confusing in any sort of way like the Wii U or the Xbox One or the Series X and S, and I believe it makes a clear distinction that this is a brand new system, much like what Sony has been doing with their naming scheme for the last 30 years. I gotta say, I love how this thing looks so far. The inverted colors on the Joy-Cons brings everything together, and that little ring of color around the joysticks just activates the right amount of neurons in my brain. I mentioned it earlier, but having the system be just a bigger Switch is perfect for me. I don't exactly have the smallest hands, and while in the early years I didn't mind the size, in recent times I've come to feel that the current Joy-Cons are just a bit too small, and thankfully that is getting addressed. I don't really have anything to say about the new Joy-Con rails since all we really see of them is them sliding around like mice while they're attached to the Joy-Cons, which could possibly be used as a mouse sort of peripheral if that sensor in the middle of the Joy-Cons is what I think it is. And we've even had patents released in recent days that have shown, yeah, it's a mouse sensor. They are keeping this square button that is right next to the home button in the dark. Thanks to most of the leaks that we've seen, we know this is some sort of C button, but in this reveal there isn't any C button on there at all. So are they keeping this in the dark, or is there really not a C on the button? It's hard to tell. Many theorize that this button could be used for some sort of community application for the Switch 2, possibly something similar to Miiverse. I think this line of thought has some traction to it, but I'm the most curious of how it's going to handle clip sharing and the like. Whether it's going to be traditional in the sort of sense that Miiverse was, or if they're going to go down the road of some modern social media platforms. This reveal did feel like a, hey, we know about the leaks, here's what the system actually is sort of thing. I think the thing that people are most excited about for right now is the lineup of games. I'm not really aware of any rumors aside from Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth possibly coming, which would be huge. So far, the only new exclusive we know about is the new Mario Kart title that was being shown as the system was being placed into the new dock. This looks fantastic so far. I love the new tweak designs for the characters, the retro-looking carts that some of the characters are driving, and the Radiator Springs ass-looking trek that they're going through. Also, this is going to be a 24-man race, which is gonna get chaotic, and I'm all for it. There are a few interesting details I've noticed in this brief gameplay, like how Peach is wearing her base dress and has her hair down despite being on a bike, which hasn't been a thing since Super Circuit, or how there are barriers set up around the track in front of roads that clearly continue behind them, and this big spiral structure in the background that is clearly something for anti-gravity. I think they're making this Mario Kart more ambitious and possibly bigger than Mario Kart 8, which, considering that we're going to be on a more powerful system, that's great to see. They touched a little bit on backwards compatibility near the end of the video, pretty much reconfirming that the Switch 2 will play both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games, and will also use the current Nintendo Switch Online system, which, thank God, I did not want to go back to square one again for a new Nintendo system. They did say that certain titles may not be fully compatible, which is understandable. More than likely, any games that use the IR sensor of the original Joy-Con, like Ring Fit Adventure, may only be Switch 1 exclusive, and not all the games like the 1-2 Switch titles or even the newest WarioWare title will be mostly playable, aside from a few of the mini-games. It's hard to tell if HD Rumble is for sure making a comeback, but I'd write that down as more likely than not. Now, none of the specs have officially been announced, but current leaks and speculation are coming to the conclusion that this system could have the power of a PlayStation 4 Pro at most, which in an age with solid state drives and DLSS may seem like it's a bit underwhelming. But I wouldn't be so quick to jump to conclusions just yet. Let's not forget that the base PS4 was able to put out some truly great looking games. Games like God of War 2018, Marvel's Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and MK11, just to name a few. And if the Switch 2 is anywhere close to that amount of power, then we're truly in for some great looking first party games on this system. In particular, I'm excited to see what sort of visuals Monolith Soft can pump out. Now, I say this as someone who has only played like 10 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I am really excited for Monolith Soft's output. We've seen what sort of beauty they can crank out on the base Switch with the Xenoblade trilogy and its DLC, and even with the original Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii and X on the Wii U, they were pushed to the system's limits. Thanks to some leaked listings in GameStop's database, we know that the Switch 2 will at least be compatible with these micro SD express cards. While their application hasn't really been shown off to its max potential, it's reported that these little things can read files at speeds of up to 800 megabytes a second, which is faster than some SSDs currently on the market. I guess now we've reached the point in the video where I talk about what games I'd like to see for the new system, but to be honest, I think this is the first time a new Nintendo system is coming out, and I honestly have no idea what they could really release aside from the obvious picks. I think a 3D Mario game is on the pipeline, especially considering that almost every Nintendo console in history has had some sort of Mario game available within the first year or so of its release. It's also the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, so I'd be shocked if we didn't get some sort of game release this year. I don't think a new Zelda is coming within the first few years. I'd love to be wrong, but we just got Tears of the Kingdom in 2023, and Echoes of Wisdom was released just a few months ago. If we're going to see anything from Zelda, it's either going to be some sort of NSO release, or we're getting some sort of remaster or remake within that time frame. Most other franchises could be categorized under eventually. Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros., Xenoblade Chronicles. We're getting new titles, it's just hard to say when. With Xenoblade X Definitive Edition releasing this year, we're probably not due for another new numbered entry for another 2 to 3 years or so. It's hard to say what's going on with Super Smash Bros. And whether or not Sakurai will return for the last time for the 5th time. And with Splatoon 3 not receiving any more updates or DLC, only time will tell whether or not Nintendo EPD5 will make a new Splatoon exclusive to Switch 2, or if it's time for another Animal Crossing. If I was a betting man, I'd say they want to start on a new Animal Crossing right away, considering how well New Horizons sold. I think there are a few things that need a bit of an overhaul when going from the Switch over to the Switch 2. First of all, this home screen. This has got to go. I understand they probably wanted something that wouldn't use up too much of the system's RAM, but this just feels so basic and corporate. You know what would have fixed this? Themes! We only ever got 2, and that number has not changed since 2017. Give the console as much shit as you want. I love the Wii U's home menu. A classier and sleeker version of the Wii channels with folders and easy access to the eShop and settings. Or hell, I'd love an evolved version of the home menu from the 3DS. Speaking of the eShop, good lord, this thing needs a rehaul. I know that Nintendo has stated that the current Switch Online will continue over to the Switch 2, but I think we can afford to also change up the eShop. Because let's face it, it's terrible. It's laggy, there's no shop music whatsoever, and there's so much AI slop that it's hard to find any games worth any actual quality. And please, can I have an app that'll track how many specific hours I've played for my games? That was one of the best things about the Wii and DS era of consoles, and even the Wii U and 3DS did it too, because they had their own apps to record playtime, something that the Switch does poorly through the friends list of all things. Also, Nintendo, please let us look up other players via usernames and not just friend codes. Please and thank you. I guess that's all I really have to talk about today. I'm really excited to see what all Nintendo is going to reveal for the Switch 2, and I know I'm going to be pre-ordering that system as soon as pre-orders go live. I guess the next thing to look forward to is that Switch 2 Direct in April. I got big plans for this thing. I want to do an unboxing for it when it comes out and all that stuff, so stay tuned throughout this year. I'll be uploading my reaction to the Direct on this channel, and I might stream my reaction to it over on Twitch, so check out my Twitch channel in case I do. And if you're new to the channel, you should subscribe. The final part of my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe series just came out, and I have more videos planned for the Nintendo Switch 2. I may even have a Smash Brothers video in the works. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care.